What if the thing holding your author business back isn't your cover design, your blurb, your Amazon keywords, or your newsletter open rate? What if it's the story you've been telling yourself about money since you were a child? I know that's a lot, but stick with me because if you've ever found yourself underpricing your books, apologizing for charging what you're worth, self sabotaging a launch right when it's gaining momentum, or spending royalty payments before they're even cleared, this episode is for you. We're talking money mindset today, and I promise this is going to be one of the most useful conversations you have about your author business all year, because it's the conversation almost nobody in publishing is willing to have. Welcome to the Right Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Williams, best-selling romance author, book coach, and founder of Serenade Publishing. I've been an avid reader ever since I could hold a book, and I've spent a decade immersed in the world of writing, editing, and publishing fiction. I know firsthand what it takes to turn a love of storytelling into a sustainable, soul-aligned author career. Each week, I share real talk about writing fiction, marketing smarter, and staying inspired, along with up-to-date industry insights and the strategies that are working right now. You'll also hear from fellow authors, editors, and industry experts who are out there doing the work and making waves. Here, we put the woo in the work of writing, publishing, and growing your author business. Think of this as your creative business pep talk, packed with heart, hustle, and a little bit of magic. So get cozy and join me. Your writing journey starts now. Okay, so let's get into it. What is a money block and why do authors have so many of them? Let's start with the basics. What actually is a money block? The person I always come back to on this is Denise Duffield-Thomas. If you haven't read her book, Get Rich, Lucky Bitch, or Chill and Prosper, go and get them now. She is the queen of unpacking money mindset, particularly for women in business. And so much of what she teaches applies directly to authors. A money block in Denise's framework is simply a limiting belief about money that's sitting in your subconscious and quietly running the show. It's not something you decided to believe, it's something you absorbed from your parents, your community, your culture, your religion, your childhood experiences. And it's been operating in the background ever since, shaping every financial decision you make without you even realizing it. And here's why authors are particularly vulnerable to this stuff. We chose a creative path, and in most Western cultures, there is a deeply ingrained story that says creative work isn't real work, that artists should struggle, that wanting to make good money from writing is somehow greedy or commercial or beneath the art. We've been swimming in that narrative our entire careers. Of course it gets in. Add to that fact that the publishing industry itself has historically kept authors financially in the dark. Complicated royalty statements, advances that feels like a lottery, royalty rates that haven't moved in decades, and you've got a recipe for a whole lot of money confusion and disempowerment. So before we talk about marketing funnels or pricing strategies, we need to talk about this. Because you can have the best strategy in the world. And if your subconscious believes money is dangerous, or that you don't deserve it, or that success will cost you something important, you will find a way to stay exactly where you are. Childhood money wounds. What's actually running the show? Let me get personal for a minute. I grew up in what I'd describe as a feast or famine household. Money came in and then it went fast. There was no cushion, no savings, no sense that money was something you could hold on to. And I absorbed that completely. For years, I did the same thing. Royalties would hit my account and I'd spend them almost immediately. Sometimes on things I needed, sometimes on things I really didn't. There was this almost unconscious urgency to move the money along before something could happen to it. Saving felt unsafe, like if I held on to money, something would come along and take it anyway, so I might as well spend it on my own terms. Does any of that sound familiar? What I've come to understand, and this has been real work, this hasn't been a quick fix, is that my nervous system genuinely didn't feel safe with money in the bank. Abundance felt unfamiliar, foreign, like wearing clothes that didn't fit. Now, I feel safe saving. I feel good about money sitting in my account. That's not a small shift. That is a fundamental rewiring. And it came from understanding the story underneath the behavior. So let me walk you through some of the most common childhood money wounds I see in the author community, because I guarantee at least one of these is going to land for you. The feast or famine pattern. We just talked about this one. If money in your childhood was unpredictable, generous one month, terrifying the next, your body learned that security doesn't last. So you spend when you have it, because the lack is always coming. The antidote here is slowly building evidence that safety is possible. Even saving a tiny amount, £10, $20, and leaving it there, watching it stay, starts to teach your nervous system a new story. The money is the root of all evil belief. So many of us grew up in religious or cultural environments where wealth was associated with greed, corruption, or moral failure. If you unconsciously believe that making good money makes you a bad person, you will cap your own income every time. Denise talks about this a lot, the idea that good people don't want too much. If that's sitting in you, you need to consciously replace it. Money is neutral. Money in the hands of a thoughtful, generous author funds more books, more art, more good in the world. The unworthiness pattern. This one is huge for women especially. It sounds like, who am I to charge that? I'm not a bestseller. My books aren't good enough yet. I'll charge more when I've earned it. There's always a condition. There's always a reason why right now isn't the right time to value your own work. The truth is, worthiness is not something you earn. You don't have to publish 20 books before you're allowed to charge a fair price for your work. The visibility fear disguised as a money block. This one is sneaky. Sometimes the thing stopping authors from making more money isn't really about money at all. It's about what making more money would mean. More readers, more eyes on you, more opinions, more criticism. If part of you is afraid of being seen, your brain will conveniently create a money block to keep you small and safe. If every time you start gaining traction, you find a way to stall, this might be you. The I'm not good with money identity. Some of us just decide this about ourselves early on and never revisited it. Maybe we saw a parent struggle and concluded that financial competence wasn't in our DNA. But this is a skill, not a personality trait. You can learn it. You are not doomed to repeat the pattern. So how to start actually rewiring your money story? So we've done the diagnosis. Now let's talk about what to actually do about it. I want to be clear, this isn't a one podcast fix. I'm not going to give you a 3-step formula that magically rewires decades of conditioning. What I can do is give you some genuine starting points that have worked for me and for authors I know. Step 1, name your story. You can't rewrite a story you haven't read. So start here. Finish these sentences and actually write the answers down. Growing up, money was. In my family, rich people were seen as. I feel guilty about money when. The reason I'll never be really financially successful is. Whatever came out of that, that's your material. That's what you're working with. Don't judge it, just see it. Step 2, Try EFT tapping. I know, stay with me. Denise Duffield-Thomas is a huge advocate for EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, also called tapping, as a way to literally discharge the emotional charge around money beliefs. There's a growing body of research on this, and honestly, it works for a lot of people. You can find free tapping scripts on YouTube specifically for money mindset. If it feels a bit woo for you, think of it as a somatic reset, a way of getting the belief out of your body, not just your head. Step 3, start having money dates. This is practical and mindset work at the same time. Once a week, sit down with your finances, look at your royalty dashboards, check your bank account, know your numbers. For a lot of authors, their money anxiety is partly driven by avoidance. If you don't look, you don't have to feel. But avoidance keeps you powerless. Knowledge gives you agency. Make it a ritual. Nice cup of tea, favorite music, no judgment, just look. Step 4, let yourself receive. This is one Denise talks about constantly, and it sounds almost too simple. When money comes in, royalties, a new reader signing up, a great sales week, actually pause and let yourself feel good about it. Don't immediately catastrophize. But what if it drops next month? Don't immediately spend it, quick before it goes. Sit with it. Say thank you. Let your nervous system feel what it feels like when money arrives, and it's okay. Step 5, build your evidence file. Your brain believes what it sees repeatedly, so start collecting evidence that contradicts your old story. Every time you save money and it's still there a week later, write it down. Every time you charge your worth and someone pays it without blinking, write it down. Every royalty payment, every great review that could lead to a sale, every time money showed up and it was fine. You're building a new story, one data point at a time. Here's what I want you to hold on to from this episode. The authors who are making the most money aren't necessarily the most talented, or the most strategic, or the luckiest. Some of them are simply the ones who got out of their own way, who did the work to believe they were allowed to succeed, who learned to feel safe in abundance. That is available to you, and it starts with the story. If this episode stirred something up for you, good. That's the work beginning. I'd love to know what your money story is. What belief did you recognize in yourself today? Come and tell me. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Serenade Publishing. This is the kind of conversation I want to have more of, because when authors talk openly about money, we all get a little freer. And if you found this episode useful, the most generous thing you can do is share it with another author who needs to hear it. Leave a review if you have a moment. It genuinely helps other people find the show. I'll be back next week. Until then, look after your money and let it look after you. I'll see you soon on the Right Podcast. Thanks so much for listening to the Right Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean the world if you'd leave a review and share the show with your writer friends. It helps more creatives find their way to us. And don't forget to follow Serenade Publishing on Instagram and TikTok for more writing tips, publishing advice, and exciting events to keep you inspired. Keep writing, keep dreaming, and know that I'm here to support you every word of the way.